Let's talk today about binging. A lot of people don't necessarily know exactly the definition of binging, and you may think that you are engaging in binging behaviors when you're actually not. So, today I wanted to talk about what binging actually is, how it may be construed as a binge when it may not be necessarily a binge, and what a binge can look like. So, we're going to cover a lot in this video today. First, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie. I'm Long Island's eating disorder specialist. I post on this channel twice a week all about eating disorders, body image issues, and general mental health. So let me give you some updates and some announcements. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know a little bit about the changes I'm making to my YouTube channel. If you have not been following me, what are you waiting for? That's the first announcement. Go over into Instagram and follow me there. State of Balance for Life is my username. So go ahead and you'll get updates on all of the things with YouTube. But anyway, moving on. So with YouTube, I am no longer posting 3 times a week. I'm going to be posting twice a week. And I think this is going to be the best because what I'll be able to do is put more energy into each one of my videos so that I'm getting you the best content. What it'll also enable me to do is to be able to create resources that you can use with my videos in order to get the most out of it. So it won't be for every video, but for many videos, I'll have resources that could go hand in hand with it. And the way to get that is to subscribe to my email list. I will leave a link in the description below of how to do that. So what will happen is at the beginning of each week, you'll get a little bit of an overview as to what is to come and insight into what is to come. And those PDF files will be there available to you. And perhaps it might not necessarily be something that I create, many times it will, but if I think that there might be a helpful resource for you that you would find resourceful, I will include it in those emails. And of course, if you're watching this video at a later date and you realize that you don't have that, what you can do is subscribe to the newsletter list, to my email list, and then just respond to that email letting me know that you would like to get the resource for this particular video. Just name the video and I'll get that over to you. So that is some announcements. Also, I am starting a podcast, so if you prefer listening as opposed to video content, then that's going to be for you. I will leave that link in the description below. And of course, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and like this video if you found it helpful at the end. So let's get into the content of this video, binging. First and foremost, we need to set an operational definition so that we know exactly what we're talking about when we reference binging for the duration of this video, or really whenever you're talking about binging. So the operational definition of binge eating is consuming a large amount of food in a small period of time, usually past the point of fullness, even to the point of extreme discomfort, and often to the point of extreme discomfort or even pain. So that is the operational definition I will be referring to whenever I reference binging or binge eating for the duration of this video. Why is it so important to know what the operational definition is? Oftentimes I have people coming into my office who are saying to me that they are engaging in binge eating. The first question that I tend to ask is, what exactly does that mean to you? And what's important in that answer is binging can vary amongst different people. What they perceive to be binging can vary greatly. So of course the operational definition is what binging really is, but some people may interpret either possibly overeating or maybe not necessarily eating in line with diet culture. I'll get to that in a moment. And they perceive that as binge eating, and it's not that. So it's important to kind of get to know exactly what the person is talking about, because if we're dealing with binge eating and binge eating disorder, or binge eating as a behavior in a different type of eating disorder such as bulimia, we're going to treat it differently than if it is something that maybe is perceived as binging when it's really not. Both are really important to know, and both are treated by an eating disorder specialist, but it might be slightly varied in terms of how it would be treated. So going back to when I ask that question, so sometimes what I'll hear is that a person may interpret that they are binging because it is not in line with diet culture. So what diet culture is, if you haven't heard of it before, is when we are in the Western civilization, Western world, it has now become the norm that people are dieting, which is usually what it's defined as, is a restriction of food or food intake, food groups, whatever you want to define it as. Dieting has become the norm. It is more likely that you'll find someone dieting than not. And that is really the way of the world, the Western world, at least these days. So when we're so used to that being the norm, when we are not engaging in what the norm is perceived to be, sometimes they may feel like it's binging. So what may that actually look like in actuality? When you are talking about dieting, again, restricting food intake, restricting calories, whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden you're eating maybe a food group that wouldn't be prohibited in the diet that you're thinking about, or you're eating much more quantity than you think that a person on a diet should. It is almost as though it is a binge because it's so different from the norm that we perceive to be the norm, at least. It's very important to recognize that not necessarily it's not a binge. It may be, but more often than not, what it is just a discrepancy in your brain between diet culture, which is perceived to be the norm, and the way that you're eating, which isn't in line with the norm. I can absolutely talk more about that particular construct in another video. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to. But for the duration of this video, I really want to talk about binging now. And when you already have identified that binging is what you are doing. And that might be a little bit of a process. So I did create a worksheet that's going to go along with this video right here. It'll be available in my email list. And if you are watching this video and on my email list already, you would have already received it. If not, again, like I said, subscribe to my email list, reply, let me know that you would like that, and I will get that over to you. But what this PDF is really about, this worksheet, is to really gather your thoughts about what it is that you're doing, binging, or maybe just overeating or engaging in eating habits that are not in line with diet culture, and then some exploratory questions from there. It is always something that I will emphasize. When we are able to really know and become more aware of our patterns and our behaviors, there's so much power in that. Knowledge is power, information is power, awareness is power. So I'm always trying to get, especially as a therapist, I'm always trying to get more information, more knowledge, and for my clients to get that information and knowledge and awareness as well. Now, I want to remind you that this video isn't about necessarily changing our behaviors at this point. This is really just about awareness and bringing our awareness to what our behaviors are. So when it comes to binging, there are a myriad of ways that it may look like. Of course, it depends on the person that is going through it, and each binge, even for the same person, may look different, but we'll often see patterns within a person with regards to their binging behaviors. And this is something that is more explored on the worksheet that I provide. But what I want you to start thinking, and I encourage you to get a journal and to start writing this down, some just questions and answers about your binge, and just noticing the patterns that you're recognizing. So sometimes what I hear when I ask people to describe their binge to me, oftentimes there is a comforting feature of that binge, that what you really are getting from that binge is a source of comfort. Sometimes you see numbing is a thing. Sometimes you might recognize that your binge seems very out of control, kind of, you're not really in your body, could be out of body experience, mechanical. I hear a lot of those words typically describing binges. And now the thing is that binges typically are a form of coping in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's distractions, comfort, numbing, or anything like that. At some point in time in your life, you have decided that food is a source of comfort or coping. So therefore, you're seeking that comfort, that coping, that numbing, that whatever it is that you're getting from that through food. And therefore, of course, we want to seek out pleasure. We want to distract ourselves. We want to push away pain. Our entire lives, I mean, any animal's life, for that matter, is a source of seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Whether for humans that's mental pain or physical pain, we will always be on that journey. So binging at some point has become a source of avoiding pain and seeking pleasure, or at least avoiding pain. So we really want to understand what that binge is for you. What is the function of that binge? And what we need to do is to find patterns in that binge. For now, because we are in the exploratory phase, it's really important for you to sit back and just note what's happening. Don't try to change what is happening, but the next time that you binge, the next few times that you binge, again, don't try to change what happened, but observe as though you are another person observing this binge. What is it that you're experiencing? What is the physical sensations that you have? What are the mental sensations that you have? What are the emotions? What just happened before the binge? How did the binge start? All of this information gathering is going to be power for you. I would also encourage you to note the setting of your binges. Do they typically occur in a particular place? Do they tend to occur at a particular time? Oftentimes what I do see is that binges occur at nighttime. Not all the time, but many times you'll see that binging occurs at night. And usually the reason behind that is because there's a lot of shame surrounding binging, a lot of shame surrounding those behaviors. So of course, if we feel shameful, we want to hide it from others, hide whatever it is that we're feeling shameful about from others. So nighttime kind of helps to do that because one, a lot of people in your household are asleep, so there's not as likely for them to come in while you are engaging in your binge. You can kind of hide the evidence a little bit better. The blinds are drawn and the lights are off. It gives you this illusion of privacy and being alone. So that's why a lot of times it'll happen then. But then again, information, gather the setting. If you are again observing, being an observer of these patterns and the behaviors, what would you see? This video really barely scratches the surface about binging, but this is something that I want you to start thinking about. Knowledge is power, awareness is power, and I will continue to say that. And I am definitely going to make videos about how to work on this behavior. But what I would encourage you to do is just observe, not judgmentally, and with self-compassion about what it is that you're going through. Definitely use that worksheet. It'll be super helpful for you to determine exactly, or a little bit more into, give you a little bit more insight into your behaviors. If you found this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below about whether or not you think that you are binging or that you kind of have just been labeling it as binging when it might not necessarily be that. You could click my face over here to subscribe to my channel, and I wish you awareness on your journey to finding your state of balance, and I will see you in my next video.